Milano,
Bruxelles,
Paris,
Madrid.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a fresh new season of our podcast, Tomorrow's Europe. I'm Hermine, and I'm teaming up again here with journalists from European media outlets that are part of the Euranet Plus network to take a look at the challenges Europe's facing right now and how our actions today will shape the future of tomorrow's Europeans. Over the next 3 episodes, we will explore a topic that's got a lot of people talking, to say the least, but which many still don't really understand, and that's artificial intelligence. What changes can we realistically expect in the way we work, teach, study, and manage our societies? In less than 3 years, AI has become a massive part of our lives. While some see it as a great resource that can help us a lot in our lives and work, others think it's like Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, where technology is used to control what we think and feel. So, what kind of new world should we be preparing for? In this first episode, we look at the impact of artificial intelligence on our jobs. It seems like a no-brainer to even ask the question, but let's do it anyway. Is AI revolutionizing the world of work? In a nutshell, AI performs 3 types of tasks. Predictive or analytical AI processes and analyzes large amounts of data super quickly. Generative AI creates new content like text, images, and music. And finally, autonomous AI makes decisions and acts independently to perform a specific task. For example, an autonomous car can follow a route by itself. Predictive and analytical types of AI are already being used pretty much everywhere. Just like everyone, I tested generative AI myself, and well, I find the results quite bluffing. As for predictive AI, it provides analytics that can be used to determine and predict trends and identify behavioral patterns, which is a valuable asset for businesses like Telia Lietuva, a Lithuanian telecommunications company. Vygintas Domarkas, Telia Lietuva's head of digital transformation, says that using AI tools make his company more efficient and helps it to understand its customers' needs better.
We use artificial intelligence in customer service mainly to process unstructured information. For example, we receive over 100,000 pieces of customer feedback per year about the service we provided, what they liked and did not like. Instead of people logging them in Excel or using some other analytical tool, we ask artificial intelligence to put all those 100,000 feedback reports on shelves, but only after, of course, setting out very specific rules on how, who, which category to assign, etc. We immediately have a very large amount of data systematized, and we can do this almost on a daily basis. Another example, 40,000 new offers are generated every night based on customer usage, orders, service refusals, and so on. It is like a night worker taking the data and preparing personalized offers for everyone.
Laura Sibony, a French academic who lectures on artificial intelligence to students and professionals, says that what we should be aiming for is a balanced and complementary distribution of tasks where humans and machines interact.
Là, on aborde une question qu'on appelle souvent...
This brings us to a concept often referred to as hybridization, which immediately gives the whole thing a very mythological feel. I think that working hand in hand means first understanding that each job we do is made up of a series of tasks, and that it wouldn't make much sense to most people to delegate any job in its entirety, from A to Z, to artificial intelligence. On the other hand, AI, especially analytical AI, can be very useful for some specific tasks, as long as humans remain in control of the training basis for the result.
Indeed, hybrid intelligence, in other words, a combination of natural and artificial intelligence, has the potential to compensate for the weaknesses of each type and to amplify their respective strengths. And far from putting people out of work, AI could actually lead to the advent of new jobs, says Alexandra Rasheva, director of the Labour Office in Vidin, Bulgaria. Qualified professionals, accustomed to working with these systems, will find themselves in high demand.
The opportunities offered by artificial intelligence in the labour market are as follows: the creation of new jobs and industries, and the emergence of entirely new professions focused on artificial intelligence. Examples include machine learning engineers, artificial intelligence ethics specialists, system supervisors, engineers, and so on. Artificial intelligence will also generate roles that focus on human qualities, which are difficult to automate.
It's obvious that workers who understand what AI can and can't do are the ones who can make the most of its strengths. For example, they can correct generative AI's biases or make sure predictive AI is fed the right data. Basically, they can fix the technology's current issues to make sure it's used properly. Christian Janssons, CEO of Mittitan, an Estonian company that advises professionals on AI use, says that the use of AI will also change how businesses work and the processes they use. We'll see more and more automation of repetitive routine tasks, so employees will have more time to focus on more complex tasks. Their decision-making will get better thanks to more data, and ultimately, employees will be able to focus on strategy and supervision rather than execution.
Take fraud detection, for instance. It doesn't even matter what kind of fraud. In the past, an analyst would take certain data, look at it, analyze other data sets, and eventually reach a conclusion before moving on with the follow-up process. Now, with AI, the system gives them a recommendation up front, and their task is to validate whether that outcome is correct. On the one hand, the end result may seem the same, but the way you do the job is entirely different and much more efficient. And this efficiency, the productivity boost we need for Estonia to catch up with and even surpass the rest of Europe, is possible thanks to AI.
Obviously, simply having access to AI tools in the workplace doesn't mean how to exploit their full potential or use them safely and correctly. But the training, supervision and control needed are often missing, and it's already led to a number of potentially dangerous incidents, including breaches of data confidentiality and security. This happened, for instance, in major tech and financial institutions, including Samsung, Amazon or JP Morgan, which have since then restricted employee use of Gen AI to prevent a leak of confidential data. In the European Union, the AI Act is the go-to guide for everything to do with the use of AI. Romanian member of the European Parliament, Laurent Vince, from the centre-right European People's Party group, explains how this law aims to guide and regulate the deployment of AI on our continent.
Systems must be developed in such a way that they are fair and trustworthy and place human beings at the center. This is, in fact, the main factor in all existing regulations, whether EU ones or those of the Council of Europe's Framework Convention on Artificial Intelligence, Human Rights, Democracy and the Rule of Law.
The AI Act introduces a 4-tier risk-based system for regulating AI, ranging from low or no risk to unacceptable risk. It involves strict obligations for high-risk workplace applications, for instance in HR management, in particular in recruitment or in performance monitoring, to make sure that the fundamental rights like equality, privacy and dignity are respected. Meanwhile, employees should be informed about how AI is used in their company in relation to their work, regardless of how low risk it may appear. And all employers must also show that they have necessary AI literacy. However, a Boston Consulting survey across 11 countries, including 4 EU member states, found that only 1/3 of employees have received sufficient training, prompting calls for at least 5 hours of face-to-face instruction. Now, if everyone can be trained properly, should we actually be worried about AI getting a job in our company? Christian Janssens of MedTitan explains that the situation is a bit more complicated.
I would say that AI tends to automate tasks, rarely entire jobs. Of course, in some cases, you might have 1,000 jobs and automate 10% of them, so you only need 900 people instead of 1,000. There may be managers acting like that. But because it actually automates work processes, not jobs, this will take time.
All workers generally do a bit of everything, so it could be that only the most boring and mechanical task will be cut from job descriptions. But as Laura Siboni says, collecting, sorting, and analyzing data is a great way to learn and familiarize yourself with a company.
It is this learning phase that is most at risk. It's jobs for young people that are at risk. These jobs enable young people to learn, discover a sector, and familiarize themselves with it.
And finally, there's autonomous AI, which has got less attention than the other types of AI we see every day, but it carries way more risks. Frédéric Krier, a trade unionist from Luxembourg, says that this is not yet common in the workplace, but it will be soon.
Of course, it's not just generative AI. There are other forms of AI. Autonomous cars or lorries, for example, are also a form of AI. So there are perhaps challenges for professionals in those fields as well. It's not that we're seeing a lot of redundancies right now, but there are job profiles that are changing completely, and perhaps even positions that will morph into administrative roles that are then no longer filled. That means job losses too.
There will, of course, be winners and losers in this brave new world that we already have one foot in. Those who possess the requisite technological and AI skills, such as big data, machine learning, and security, will sit in the winner camp, according to the World Economic Forum 2025 Future of Jobs report, which also predicts shortages in these areas. Meanwhile, the same report indicates that 40% of employers plan to reduce roles that can be automated, putting jobs involving routine tasks across sectors such as accounting, insurance, consulting, IT, advertising, journalism, law, and even medicine at risk. So yes, somehow pretty much all jobs could be at risk, sums up Spanish AI expert Pablo de la Rosa Cruz.
Ya seas médico, abogado,
Whether we're a doctor, lawyer, administrator, accountant, or architect, we are all a form of cerebral machine that uses information, and artificial intelligence is starting to do this much better than us.
Looking ahead into a no-so-distant AI world, there is no easy way of predicting the impact of this radical new innovation on employment. This said, one of the key lessons we can draw from the Industrial Revolution, which is an era which is often taken as a comparison right now, suggests that while technology displaces jobs, it also gives rise to new industries, makes services and goods cheaper, and ultimately generates jobs rather than causing lasting mass employment. And perhaps, says Laura Siboni, this modern-day technological revolution, or evolution if you prefer, could even lead us to reflect on a completely different way of life.
These
days, with robotisation, automation, and the incredible increase in productivity per worker, if we just knew how to limit our desires instead of the world order, we would have enough to be able to work less. So yes, I think we can learn a great deal from past revolutions to better understand what our goal is now. Is this goal infinite growth under deregulated, contemporary capitalism? Or are we looking for something else from work? Human fulfillment, self-fulfillment, maybe?
Food for thought, certainly. We're back next week with our next question. In the age of AI, will schools still be necessary? And I would like to warmly thank my colleagues Augustie from Žinių Radijas in Lithuania, Charlotte from France's Euradio, Jordanka from the Bulgarian National Radio, Mart from Kuku in Estonia, Stefan from Radio Romania, I, Tanya from Es Radio Castilla y León, and Wojciech from the Europeans podcast. Thanks for your hard journalistic job.